Good morning, y'all. Let's see if we can do something that we haven't done in a while, alive. And I want to read to you all from my book. You can't even see it. Hold on. Get out. Get out of here. Go to your place. Go. No. Go to your place. Now. Go. It's my second book. Came out in 2025. You can grab it on the website. But this morning, I wanted to take a minute and maybe read from it a little bit. So this is chapter 2. Quiet, you all. This is chapter 2. And I'm actually going into talking about, many of you all may not be familiar because you might be new here, and I probably haven't talked about my Brazil story in such a long time, but Brazil is such a huge part of my journey as a creator, as a teacher, and in doing this work around my sensuality, I feel like I first came into my body being in Brazil as a young adult, and that journey has stayed with me ever since. I've also traveled to Brazil as a young person before that experience, and there's just been this kind of thread with my family and with my church, and so there's just been this thread of Brazil being a place of good fortune and transformation. And there's also some pieces of my story that I also haven't shared with you all. And a lot of them I put my heart and soul into putting them in this book, baby, because trying to write 15 different Instagram posts to express a thought or create 15 different reels or whatever, sometimes you just need to write a book, baby. Just go write that book. So I want to read a little bit to you all. And if you want to grab a copy of the book, you can. You can grab it on my website, domesticmovementlab.com. Many of you know the origins of my shares about Brazil, how I found a sense of self-love, confidence, and healing in my body, witnessing and seeing other Black women with bodies like mine walking down the beach, seeing the baianas with their full hips, hoop skirts, and those beautiful symbols of fertility, fullness, abundance, femininity, womanhood, grace, and allure. Being the state symbol of Bahia was healing and necessary. Coming from the U.S., I am constantly under attack for what a woman's body is supposed to look like, what healthy looks like, what being well looks like. And that often put me, stop it, you all. And that often put me in an emotional gridlock, feeling like I was never enough, never small enough, never thin enough, never pretty enough, never light enough, never just right thick enough, just never enough. All of the ways self-care and loving yourself were being promoted at the time. We're not about honoring where we are understanding our varying experiences of capacities, abilities, desires. Instead, they were about aligning with the monolith of what was expected of us in femininity, in womanhood, and specifically as women in the U.S. Y'all about to get in trouble. Go to your house. Sit down. The expectation is to be small, unheard, to be unseen, and to not be a problem. Fortunately, I had an issue with all of those things. But there were other parts of my story and my connection to Brazil that took me a long time to reconcile with and to know what I wanted to do with those experiences. I knew I would eventually face them in my art, but I didn't know how. My desire to learn the language expanded. I kept saying, I've got to learn Portuguese because I want to date. I was meeting so many cute people, men and women, who I found truly delicious in our moments. I wanted to know how to interact with someone of Brazilian descent and, more importantly, how to call for help. In that journey of finding my independence with the language, I had some amazing romantic and sexual experiences that left me in a state of perpetual bliss and wonder. And then other moments rattled my world like no other. One of my friends met a guy she liked. He had a friend. We met them together in Campo Grande Park. She ended up talking to this guy extensively. She was living the fantasy, running off on motorcycles, romantically seeing the city while enjoying time with him. One day she was like, girl, we're doing this posada, like a beach house, and his friend is coming. You should come. I said yes immediately. I was down for some fun and maybe even a yummy hookup on my terms. I remember riding in the taxi to the posada, but I wasn't familiar with the area we were going to. We've been in the city, romping around for weeks, getting to know our local spots, but this place, I couldn't make it out. I didn't see any water. I didn't see a beach. My thoughts began racing as the pathway grew darker, but I didn't want to be anxious. I didn't want to be the anxious, needy girl asking weird questions, so I froze. I was scared and afraid, and I didn't know what was going on. We pulled into a place with a security gate. Someone had to open it to let us in. You couldn't just go in and out. I hadn't seen that before other than at our host home. However, those buildings had security and elevators, just like our regular setup in Chicago. This place, not so much. My body kept telling me something was off. I kept scanning my surroundings and thinking, I thought we were going to a posada, like a beach house. Where's the water? We got inside the gate and I realized we were at some kind of motel. Something just didn't feel right. My friend said, hey, we got 2 rooms. Here's a room for you and your guy, and here's a room for us. I told her I didn't realize we were splitting up, and I honestly don't remember her response after that. I froze again. We split up. Maybe I had a hot orgy fantasy in mind, or even a rendezvous where we'd all fuck in the same room, but splitting up never crossed my mind. I also didn't have a plan for what the fuck to do should the idea of splitting up be brought into the equation. I've been in other sexual experiences with my good hoe friend, as y'all know from book 1, as a young person, and it didn't matter if she was getting the greatest head on earth or if I was hooking up with a guy in a hotel. We didn't split up. I didn't know this guy and didn't randomly fall in love with a hot Brazilian I was willing to risk being alone with. That night was life-altering. Upon getting in the room, the guy, whose name I either never knew or forgot, turned on the TV, and instantly we were inundated with porn. Stop. And instantly we were inundated with porn. The phone rang simultaneously. My friend tried to warn me not to turn the television on, but it was too late. Let me be real. I felt obligated to fuck this guy. I felt I had somehow led him on by accepting an invitation to go. I felt I had to accept this fate of being in this hotel room. Go to your place. Hold on, y'all, because they about to drive me crazy. Go to your place. Go. Now. Go. Can't have nice things, clearly. Where were we? Let's be real. I felt obligated to fuck this guy. I felt I had somehow led him on by accepting an invitation to go. I felt I had to accept this fate of being in this hotel room alone with him because I had no way of knowing how to get home on my own. And with it being so late, I didn't feel safe to travel back to the city by myself. I had money, but no idea how to tell anyone where I was. I was frozen in time again. I felt obligated to make the best of it. It started to sink in that I was stuck in stuck in only God knows where, in a foreign country, alone, in this hotel room with a man I do not know. I was at a complete loss for words. He forcefully took over my rigid body. A part of my psyche crumbled that night. I spent the remainder of the night crying in the bathtub until morning. I felt a major sense of ping pong in my head. How did I get myself into this? Why was he so rough with me? No one is going to believe me because I came here on my own. How would I ever tell my mom about this? Did I deserve this? It was a nightmare. One that has lived buried and deep in my psyche. One night I wish I could relive and change directions. Have my no call for help like I wanted, or maybe fight him before he ever had a chance to touch me. Quote, "We do a kind of violence to ourselves when we shut down our sexuality." Brittany Cooper, Eloquent Rage. I felt so deeply ashamed of my sexual expressiveness and desire. That shame, in the words of Dr. Brittany Cooper, turned into long-term violence. I was the cause of my pain. I was the cause of my freeze. This was the message on replay for years after this night. This is what they warned me about. Being too fast for my own good. Being a fast-tailed girl who didn't know what was good for her. Ashamed that I was willing to have sex with a stranger in a foreign country and believed I was safe to do so. I felt like I was being punished for wanting to experience the high of a hookup with really great sex. As Mickey Kendall describes in Hood Feminism, to be a fast-tailed girl is to be sexually precocious in some way. The violence, end quote, the violence that Black girls face in the experience of developing their autonomy and agency around their sexuality, while also being inundated with messaging that hypersexualizes them in the perception of others, and also demonizes their exploration of self as a pathway to control any behaviors that will create a falter from their communal perception as pure, right-minded, or headed in the right direction. Again, many of these perceptions are again being tied to Black religious experiences within churches as the key function for the idea of the village, which also looks after the child. The next day, I barely remember it. I barely remember that week. I do remember sitting outside in the lounge reading a book and getting ready for class when one of the guys from my study abroad program came over. He laughed. "Yeah," quote, "we saw that guy you were with the other night." And he was just like, "Yeah, that girl in your program," inserts description of me, "she's crazy. She's crazy. Oh my God, she's crazy." He must have said it 15 times. Then calling me crazy became the joke. I froze. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I probably pushed it down after that just to make it through the trip. Within the first 2 weeks into my study abroad, I had a nagging feeling I should just end the trip early and just go home. Multiple incidents were pointing me towards home, but I couldn't quite grasp clarity on whether it was just my anxiety or intuition telling me something was wrong. I stopped there. I hope that you all enjoyed, and thank you all so much for sticking around with me, especially these damn dogs barking. And if you would like a copy of my book, you can grab it on Amazon and have it shipped to you anywhere in the world with quick speed. Or if you would like to support me directly as an independent author, you can purchase it through my website. The shipping time takes a little bit longer when you purchase it through me, so I do apologize for that, but you can grab it at themessymovementlab.com. Let me see. I see there's some comments. Hi. Hold on, let me see. Yes, so that's my book, A Return to Pleasure, Part 2, From Grief to Liberation. Hold on. I'm probably gonna have to change the light so that you all can see it. So you can grab this on my website, or you can grab it on Amazon. Just type in A Return to Pleasure. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. It was super dope to do this. And I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.